Whoa, it went away. Let me get it back. Oh, wow. Oh, that was short. Okay, I have to pick something else of Frank's. For some reason, that was real short, but we're going to just pick something else to listen to as we come in. Here's Community Jazz Center Band at Java Joe's.
Why don't you play something from the record?
Okay, well then we will. I mean, we have 2 hours. I like to play something that we can watch in the beginning.
Oh, okay.
Is this a good one, or should I look for something else?
I can't remember.
Okay, we'll play a little bit of it. Well, let's see. This really isn't you. So
I'd rather, yeah.
Wow, cool. Excellent. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, my guest today is Frank Perowsky, and that was his CD, entitled, I forget the title.
An Afternoon in Gowanus.
What is Gowanus?
Gowanus is an area in Brooklyn.
Okay. Was there an inside joke to that title?
No.
Oh, okay. So,
Ben produced the album and he named it.
Ben.
My son Ben, the drummer.
Okay.
He was the drummer on that, and he produced the album, and he borrowed the John Lewis's title.
Oh.
An Afternoon in Paris.
Oh, I see. That's cool. Frank and I have known each other for several years, but we haven't really hung out heavily. But you know, his music has always spoken to me. As you can hear, it's really wonderful writing, and of course, wonderful playing too. Yeah. I was looking at your bio, or the one that I had up anyway, and because sometimes I shorten bios a little bit because people write a long, but how long did you or have you had the 17-piece big band?
Well, I was playing with Mike Longo's big band. We performed every 4 to 6 weeks on this jazz series that he started at the Baha'i Center in New York, and he joined the Baha'i faith, influenced by Dizzy. He was working with Dizzy. He played with Dizzy for nearly 10 years, I think.
Oh.
And heavily influenced by Diz, of course. and he was a great pianist. Our last concert was March 10th, just before the pandemic started in 2020.
Yeah.
And he got sick on the 12th.
Oh.
And he had a lot of physical issues. He had diabetes, and he was on oxygen, and it was just too much. The COVID took him out. He died late, 2 or 3 weeks later.
Wow.
Yeah, it was very sad. And so when we started performing, I think 1998, down at the Baha'i Center, I decided I'd get my big band together and do a concert, and that's kind of where it started. And I've been doing it ever since. I'm looking forward to doing it again after when things kind of open up here.
Did you start writing at that point for the big band, or had you already been writing for like Michael Longo's band? Or
I had been writing since late 60s.
okay.
I joined Bill Watrous. Bill Watrous was still living in New York then, and I was playing with his band. We made 2 albums for Columbia Records, and he started playing my charts. I had written that Bouncing with Bud for that band. In fact, that band was the first band that played that chart.
Oh, huh.
Then in 71, he moved to LA.
Yeah.
And so the chart just went on the shelf there. And not until a couple years later, I ran into Dean Pratt on the street. And Dean Pratt's a fine trumpet player that was playing with Bill Watrous' big band when we were doing it.
Yeah.
And so Dean, I said, "What you doing?" He said, he's on the road with Buddy Rich. And he said, "We're recording next week. Why don't you bring that Bud Powell chart down?" And that's the way it happens. And Buddy recorded it.
Oh, cool. Wow.
So it's on Class of 78.
Oh.
Buddy Rich vinyl album.
Wow.
That was recorded direct to disc. I think it was one of the few records that was made that way. Direct to disc, you can't edit or anything. It's like they start playing and that's it.
Yeah.
Whatever goes down, goes down. And but that was a good band. John Marshall's. Buddy Rich had some great bands.
That must have been exciting for you.
Yeah, it got reviewed and downbeat. So that was kind of the start of my big band writing.
Yeah. So you would you say your writing, it was a kind of an even career for you, writing, arranging, and playing, or did one of those kind of take the lead?
No, it was playing was always kind of the first, my main thing.
Yeah.
Bill left in 71. I was just freelancing in New York. There were nightclubs then. Played for a lot of singers, Billy Eckstein and
Oh, really?
Peggy Lee and
Uh,
Mel Torme, and so those were nice gigs. And then in '81, I was playing Cy Coleman's show, Barnum,
uh-huh.
and I got the call to go out on the road with Liza Minnelli. And so I took off from the show, and that started a relationship that lasted clear up until 2009.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Long time.
Very long time.
I did a few arrangements for her, and it was a great band. A lot of fun. Bill Livornia was the drummer. Bill was the musical director. He had actually played with Judy Garland when he was young.
Huh.
So that was a long-term relationship.
I saw you did something with Jack Kerouac's On the Road. You know who had a relationship with him, who you probably know, David Amram?
Oh, I know Dave, yeah.
Yeah, he had like a very tight relationship, and he wrote a book. I can't remember everything. He wrote a book maybe about him, and for a while he was sharing that online in the last year. He's an interesting guy too.
He wrote a book about Jack Kerouac?
Yeah, I can't remember what the book was. Somebody listening probably will remember, because he was on the show, and there was something. Maybe I can go find it, because it's you would probably Amram Kerouac. Let's see if that just comes up. So David Amram. Let's see. Originally, written in 1969, published early in 70, at the request of publisher Barney Rosette as an obituary for Kerouac. Keeping the flame alive. And, it's just like, has a picture with, here, I'll show you, I'll show you, because what I'm looking at. Pretty cool. He's a pretty amazing guy,
Yeah, I know him. I met him years ago.
So you see this picture is Larry Rivers, Jack Kerouac, David Amram, Allen Ginsberg, and Gregory Corso with his back to the camera. So anyway, there's this whole, obviously it's an obituary from 1970. And so. And
well, I'm a big fan of Jack Kerouac.
Yeah, well, I'll share this with you.
So I remember I did a show at the Bowery Poetry Club, which was going then, and we did the big band, and I had this friend of mine, Kirpal Gordon. He's a poet and a writer, and likes to do jazz and poetry presentations. We did a few together.
Yeah.
And I had him read a couple of pages from On the Road when they're in San Francisco, and it's very vividly written by Jack Kerouac. He describes this sax player playing in this bar, and the crowd it's a great piece.
Huh.
And I had the big band playing behind him talking, reading this.
What were you What were you playing?
Oh, I just did a blues. I kept it kept things down at first just with the rhythm section, and while he read these couple of pages, but I like that, and of course Jack Kerouac loved bebop. That was when Charlie Parker was playing around town, and Jack Kerouac, and again Dave knew those people too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, when I hear somebody speak about that, who was there at that time, I can't help but get drawn into your image of it, your memory of it, and it feels great. I mean, it's why we are attracted to jazz, and poetry like that too. As a matter of fact, I'm producing Paul Chambers' son right now. His name is Pierre. He's a vocalist and a poet. And he has that. He's connected to those kind of memories. Those.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, it's really nice. Yeah.
Does he play too?
No, he's a singer.
Uh-huh.
But he's a good poet.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. For about 8 years, he was singing with a group that did like Lambert, Hendricks, and Ross stuff, and that was fun. It was called Chambers, Herbert, and Ellis. Now Herbert was the girl, and her father was a bass player whose name I don't remember. But Ellis was Mitch Ellis, who was Herb Ellis's son.
Oh.
So it was an interesting group. Very, kids of musicians, and definitely had the feel, everything. It was good. And she had very good intonation, which was, of course, great in that situation.
Who is that?
The Herbert, Aletha Herbert. Yeah, just great, really great intonation, and being the high, the only female voice in the group. It was great to have her have great intonation. So yeah, it was a fun group. They were together about 8 years.
Oh, great.
So, were you born in New York?
No, I'm from Des Moines, Iowa.
So, how did you start? Were your parents or siblings, were anybody musical, or you just you played clarinet, right?
I was from a musical environment. I grew up with my mother, my aunt, and my older sister. And my mother was a fine dancer and had her own studio. So I sort of grew up in a dance studio. My aunt was a piano teacher. So I started on piano when I was 5. And then I can't say it was a great situation because it was kind of disorganized. I wouldn't have a piano lesson on a certain day or anything. It was just kind of haphazard. But I did get up to playing 2-part inventions. But when it got to 3-voice fugues, I was mystified. I didn't know what was going on. but I tapped.
Oh,
I didn't, she put me in a ballet class when I was 6, I think. And I told her, no, I didn't want to do ballet, but I'll tap. So I tapped. Tapped for a long time, up till I was about 13, I think.
huh.
And but when I was 9, I was crazy about Benny Goodman. So and I started clarinet and played in the school band, and I was just a clarinet player up until I wanted to get gigs in town with the bands, and so I needed to get a saxophone.
There you go.
So when I got a sax, I was 15, and then I started playing with bands.
That's cool. My dad was a sax player, sax and clarinet.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Yep. I get you. I think clarinet is kind of I know probably a lot of sax players started on clarinet, but I think clarinet's kind of hard, isn't it?
yeah. Clarinet's a difficult instrument. You got to practice a lot.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
think that did you ever play soprano?
Well, I play soprano now. Yeah, when soprano got popular, thanks to John Coltrane, I wasn't the only one that got a soprano. You know,
Yeah.
a lot, Wayne Shorter started playing soprano. He's a good clarinet player.
Do you think that having developed your clarinet playing actually made it easier for the soprano? Because I've heard, from players for years that sopranos, it's hard for intonation. You got to really work on the intonation and such.
The clarinet helped the soprano, not the tenor, but the soprano.
Yeah.
Tenor I had a hard time with because the embouchure is totally different than clarinet.
Yeah.
While the clarinet embouchure can maybe help in some ways on the soprano.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about that, but
Yeah. Have you been a teacher in your life?
yeah, I teach now. I'm teaching kids online, and I have a piano player that's studying arranging with me, composing and arranging with me. We do that online and then in person. But the kids, I enjoy the kids. And thanks to the technology, we were able to keep going in the pandemic.
Yeah.
Teaching. But I prefer the in person.
Most people do.
Yeah.
Or I think everybody does, actually. I haven't talked to one person who says they prefer it, but I mean, it is nice to have the availability of it.
Yeah.
But for singing, yeah, very much. I mean, I can do it online, and you can learn. There's stuff that can be, information that can be transmitted, but in person is just, it's in person. So you can really get to the meat of the matter. You see each other, and you notice all kinds of things.
And the sound.
Yeah, yeah. Last week I had 2 students who wept. I don't know if that would have happened online. Maybe. I guess if I'm a good enough teacher and really get to the essence of what's happening, Very interesting, though. I love in teaching, I really love how it's like these periods of time happen. Like last week, two students wept. That doesn't always happen. And it was kind of along the same line because they both hadn't really connected in the songs. And so I had them slow down the song totally out of time and also give me the message of the song with instead of saying like Skylark, have you ever anything to say to me? Instead of saying it like that, Skylark, have you anything to say to me? Really connecting. And one person on Blue Skies wept. And Blue Skies has got to be kind of the simplest song, right? Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see. And she wept because she hadn't really connected. Now, again, I don't know if that would have happened online. Maybe it would have, but it's really nice to have the availability of being in person.
Well, that's a good story.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, people who like teaching like it for various reasons, but it gives us it kind of teaches us about ourselves as we're teaching, right?
Yeah, it's a learning experience.
Yeah. We have a few people saying hi. I don't know if you know anybody, Neil Rosengarten and
Yeah, sure.
my friends, Roland Ascarones. You probably don't know Roland, but he says hi, and Toby Simmons. They're LA people.
Yeah, I worked with Neil's father,
Oh,
Bob Rosengard.
cool. Julie Bruno. Hi. Yeah, cool. What did Neil's dad play?
Drums.
Cool.
He was it was a TV. He had a band on TV for the Dick Cavett show.
Oh, huh. Okay. So, you started playing sax to work.
Yeah.
When did you fall in love with sax?
Well, I was lucky. I was in 11th grade and I was having trouble playing the tenor because of coming from clarinet. I had this tight embouchure and it wasn't working on the tenor. I wasn't getting all the notes. So I told my mom I needed a teacher. And she at that point, she she was she taught all forms of dance, ballet, tap, Spanish. She could play the castanets. She's one of the most talented people I ever knew. She could play the piano. So I told her, at that point she was teaching a few evenings a week in a adult education program in the high schools, ballroom dancing. So she knew this jazz pianist in Des Moines that was well known as a performer and also a teacher. He had a lot of students.
Yeah.
And she said she'd ask him about a sax teacher. And it happened that this fellow, Ellsworth Brown, had just come into Des Moines, had just moved there from Philadelphia and was married to an Iowa girl. And I started lessons with this fellow, and he was great. introduced me to Charlie Parker and bebop, and taught me. So we'd work on tunes, and that's when I started learning changes and the basics of bebop. And for 2 years before I left Des Moines, I studied with him, and it was a good experience for me, because he was
Did
being
you,
Philly. He knew a lot of players from Philly, and
Mm.
and he had lived in LA. He knew players from LA, and so it rubbed off.
when you first heard Charlie Parker, what did you think? Did you like it, or were you like,
Oh yeah, I my first record was 78, Bloom Dido.
okay.
On the other side, Melancholy Baby. And I played that record. I had this stand-up, wind-up Victrola that I could. There was a knob on it that you could slow it down,
Oh, wow.
and I was able to transcribe.
Oh, God.
Um,
Wow.
I didn't write anything down. I just learned it by ear,
Yeah, yeah.
I tried to play the licks he was playing. And I had transcribed some Benny Goodman solos that way. And but I couldn't even keep the beat on Charlie Parker. Where's one? Where's
I remember when I learned relaxing at Camarillo.
Oh yeah.
That just messed with my head at first. I just did not get what was happening. It was like, because he emphasizes on the upbeats, and it's just like, what the hell is going on? Finally, when I got it, I thought I had moved into heaven. It was such a dramatic absorption for me, to get that. Wow, that was just so cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll never forget that. And then I got to hear Benny Goodman live, 1950. That's when he was experimenting with bebop. He had Wardell Gray in the band. I heard that band live.
Oh, wow.
And in 1948, my mom drove us for a visit in New York, summer, and I went to Birdland. So I was lucky. I have this relationship with LA too. When I was 5, we drove. She drove all the way in a 38 Plymouth to.
Wow.
We had cousins in LA, and we stayed with them for nearly a month. My aunt had hay fever when we lived in Des Moines, and she got relief in LA in August. She wouldn't get a hay fever in LA, so that was one trip I'll never forget. I got to see the Pacific Ocean. It was a lot of fun. LA was a lot of fun. Came back in when I was 11 and took clarinet lessons with Vincent Donatelli, who was the clarinetist at RKO Pictures. And that was a big influence.
Ah,
He helped me a lot,
yeah.
influenced me a lot. And so that's some clarinet stories.
When did you start realizing that you could write and like arrange?
Well, I started writing arrangements in junior, maybe the end of junior high. Yeah,
Oh, wow.
there was a band. There was a band in town that I knew about, and I wrote. I think my first arrangement was "Embraceable You." I took it in. I had a friend in the band, yeah, and I asked him if I could bring an arrangement. So then when I was a senior in high school, I played in Jack Oates' band. Jack, I had met at summer rehearsals of the Drake Summer Band, who they used to let a few high schoolers into the rehearsals, and we gave concerts every couple of weeks. So that was a good experience, and I met some Drake players there. But Jack that's where I met Jack. Jack Oates, his whole family are musicians. His two boys, Dick and Jim. Jim's a trumpet player. Dick's a fine saxophone player. He's in the Vanguard Orchestra.
Oh,
Dick's a marvelous player. And Jim now, I think Jim now lives in Philly.
uh-huh.
But he had a big band in Des Moines for a long time. I played with that band for a while,
Yeah.
on occasions. But the father, Jack, was a big influence for me. He was a good arranger, and I wrote. I think I wrote one arrangement for that band.
Yeah.
Before I went to New York to study at Juilliard. But
I want to watch, if you don't mind, I want to watch your promo. That's your son with you, is that correct? On the
Yeah.
promo? Yeah, I want to watch that. I think that would be
Hi,
fun.
everybody. I'm Ben Perowsky, and
I'm Frank Perowsky.
no, we're not brothers. A lot of people think we're brothers. We made a record, and we're here to talk about who we are and what we're doing here, and why we're doing it. I grew up listening to him, sitting at the piano, banging out chords for all these arrangements, but we never recorded them. We decided to finally put a band together to get all of his arrangements recorded and played.
1, 2, 1, 2.
We put together this great band of old friends and some new friends, and Jerry Dodson plays the lead alto.
Jerry and I go way back to the 60s. got to Juilliard, September 53. It was a great time to be in New York. I played in the orchestra there on clarinet. Often during the week, check out the schedule at Birdland. Paid your $1.75. They take some tables out and they put the grand piano on the floor. So I'd get there early and sit right next to Bud. So it was Juilliard by day and Birdland by night.
All this talk about Birdland, we have a record release date.
October 29th, 6 p.m.
Sunday night, October 29th, 6 p.m. at Birdland. See you there.
That's great. Was that let's see, how was the party, the CD release party?
Oh, well, that was at the new Birdland, not the old Birdland. That was at the new one that's on 44th Street. And we nearly filled that. I think that we pretty much packed the room. And that you can see that. I think that's on YouTube.
Oh,
But
cool.
my name, if you put my name
Yeah.
and Birdland,
Okay.
it'll come up. I think.
Yeah, 10/29/17, right?
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Oh, wow, and it's the whole,
See that?
it's the whole
That's not the
show.
same. That's not the same band that is on the record, though.
A little different.
I couldn't get everybody that made the record.
Yeah. Oops, sorry, I'll stop that. We'll play that next after we talk a little bit more. That seems great. You and your sons look like you have the best relationship.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it's fun. I didn't know that he was this prodigy, you know.
You didn't?
But he was banging on tapping on the tables when he was 3 years old, you know.
That's great. Yeah. Yeah, my dad, was a sax player. I really should have a picture of him up on my wall here, but my mom was a singer, and my sisters, here's my sisters, they were twins, 4 years older than me. One played piano, so we grew up singing, and my dad though my dad and we were tight, and my sisters and my mother were more tight. They were straighter thinkers. I was more outside, so I was I was with my dad. I used to go to rehearsals with him, and
So he was a professional.
yeah, he was a professional. And I always say that I think the band flirting with me when I was 5 made me want to be a singer. It was like, this feels good. Music and attention from guys. Yeah, I like this. Oh, God. But yeah, I grew up in a small house, and my bedroom was next to the living room where my dad taught. And so, in Saturday mornings, I would wake up to him screaming at his students, "No, it's an A flat," that kind of stuff. And I was the one who helped him put his big band book together after he played on the weekends. And I didn't realize the smell that I loved was spit and smoke, but I just loved the smell and putting the book back in order, So,
That's great.
yeah. Let's see. Well, so you went to Juilliard.
Yeah, my my clarinet teacher in Des Moines suggested that I request Daniel Bernard as a teacher. He was on the faculty there.
Okay.
So Daniel Bernard was this great clarinet player. He played in the Philadelphia. I think he played in the Philadelphia Orchestra. He played. Might have played in the film. I don't think he played in the Philharmonic. No.
Yeah.
He taught, but he was on the faculty at Juilliard.
Okay.
And so that was a great experience. I was there 5 years that I studied with him.
Uh-huh.
And great guy. And the lessons, he gave me a lot. It was, and then I got into the orchestra, which was conducted by Jean Morel, who, when he was young, was the percussionist on Histoire du Soldat.
Oh,
Stravinsky.
yeah.
And he was a marvelous conductor. We were in awe of him.
Hmm.
But playing in the orchestra was a great experience, and led to some great experiences. In '58, when I graduated, the orchestra was invited to play at the World's Fair in Brussels
Oh, wow.
in the summer, and the school booked a whole tour of Europe
Huh?
after we performed in Brussels. I think it started middle of July and went through the middle of August. We went all over. And that was a great graduation present.
That's nice.
And I have friends from Juilliard. I met Roland Hanna when he came in to study, Tom McIntosh, Bobby Thomas, a fine drummer. Bobby had a great career. Worked with Billy Taylor for years, and Michael Bennett on Broadway. We worked together on Promises, Promises.
Oh.
Yeah, the having the classical background that I had, and the studies at Juilliard, being in the orchestra,
Yeah.
was great preparation for working on Broadway, because
You got to read.
you got to be able to read, and you have to have that experience of playing with a big group.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, I see something funny. I'm sure this is not the same person, but it's really funny. See this guy right here?
Yeah.
That was my boyfriend, Harold Bennett. And he was a flautist and a tenor player. And I see that you studied with a Harold Bennett on flute. I'm sure it's not the same guy, right?
No, no, not at all.
Okay. I just had to ask you because that's too funny.
The Harold Bennett I studied with was flutist in the Metropolitan Opera,
Okay.
New York Metropolitan Opera. He was a well-known teacher, and when I didn't really start the flute until I graduated Juilliard,
Uh-huh.
but I was made aware that if I wanted to do Broadway or freelance, that I should learn how to play the flute.
Yeah.
And so Harold was a fine teacher, and then I took some lessons with Julius Baker too.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you must have jumped in really strong and quick, right?
What do you mean, on the flute?
To like learn the flute.
Yeah, well, I was kind of. It was a necessity.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You said you had played with Billy Eckstein, and I actually last week I had his daughter on, Gina.
No kidding.
Yeah, she's
He's definitely one of my favorite singers.
yeah, we saw a lot of video on him, and he was really amazing. And
What a voice, huh?
yeah, what a voice, and really beautiful presence on stage. And unfortunately, there was a moment, I don't know if you remember this, but there was a moment, he was not that old. I don't know how old he was, maybe in his late 30s or early 40s. And he was at a concert and he came out, and these young white girl teeny boppers were surrounding him and laughing, and one was leaning up against him like this, and you could see he wasn't hugging them or anything, anyway, that ruined his career here. And that was when he moved to, I think he moved to Paris after that.
Well, how come he wasn't in the movies?
That's
With-
why,
Couldn't-
because he actually had,
it was because of all the racism
Yeah.
in LA.
yeah, actually he had things lined up that he was going to do, 2 movies, and they dropped out at that point.
That's a terrible story.
I know, isn't that awful? He was so handsome and great.
Yeah, he had everything. He had
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. His wife actually was gorgeous. She was an actress, actually. She had been in some movie with, I forget his name, just one of the famous handsome black actors. But she was beautiful, really beautiful, stunning. But then she basically stayed at home and raised the kids. There was 7 kids.
7.
Yeah.
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was a great experience. There was this club in Jersey, the Playboy Club, that
Yeah.
booked acts, and at that time he had Charlie Persip on drums, in for his trio, and Bobby Tucker, piano player. I forget the bass player.
Yeah, we had one of those places here too. Just always great music. The Playboy Club always was into jazz and
Yeah.
classy shit, man. Classy. So yeah, Nancy Wilson, Peggy Lee, Mel Torme, Michelle Legrand, Stan Getz.
That was a Carnegie Hall. What's the famous summer concert? Newport Jazz Festival.
Okay, yeah.
at Carnegie Hall,
Ah,
Stan Getson and Michelle Legrand.
oh.
I sat next to Frank West. Never forget that.
I love stories like that. When the horn player's young and they get in there and they're sitting next to like one of their heroes playing
Yeah.
and it's like,
I was really, I was afraid of Frank. Yeah.
actually, I spoke to George Cables a few weeks ago. He was really young when he started. He was 20 or something. And he's not even 80 right now. And yeah, I know while you're in it, you're just in it, you're living it. It's momentous, but it's while you're there. But then when you look back at it years later, you kind of go, wow. Yeah, wow, that was pretty amazing that I did all that, right?
I know what you're talking about. Yeah, because those gigs stand out. And Billy Eckstein, Mel Torme. I think I was subbing for Lawrence Feldman on that gig. But Mel was, who could swing like that?
Totally.
But I was lucky too with Jerry Dodson got me on this gig with Peggy Lee when New York had nightclubs. All the big hotels had a nightclub.
Uh-huh.
And the Americana, it's now the Sheraton on 53rd and 53rd and 7th Avenue.
Yeah.
Had a nightclub called the Royal Box. The Plaza had a room. The Waldorf had a room and a band. There was a handful of gigs at night at these nightclubs. And Peggy came in, I think it opened the room.
Oh.
And Jerry got me on that gig. And I stayed all through the 60s in the house band.
Oh, wow.
It turned into a real nice gig.
Wow. That sounds nice.
Before I started doing Broadway. Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That must have been really
You never know.
Yeah. A friend of mine and his wife made a movie. They're Brazilian, and they made a movie about jazz in Buenos Aires during that time period. It was smoking. They had more gigs than musicians. And they had this one spot where everybody would go and have a sandwich or something, and people would come in and go, "Hey, I need a trumpet player," and it was smoking, man. It really was. It was like New York. It was crazy.
In Buenos Aires.
Yeah, at that time, same time kind of period,
The 60s.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about Rio?
I don't know. This was just about Buenos Aires.
Uh-huh.
And there was a bass player who was in that scene. And in the last, I guess, I don't know, something like 20 years, he created a club in the last 20 years. And that it had a jam session all night long. You could go in any time. People like Chick Corea would come in too. It was well known. It was really nice. And he passed away in the last 2 or 3 years, and they sold they got rid of the, they didn't keep the club, but it was a great movie, really cool movie. I should send you a link or something. I'll try and remember. It's called Jazz is Like Bananas. That's some quote that some poet made or something.
Oh yeah, send me the link.
Yeah, I will. I'm making a note. I'm sure you'd dig it. It's really, really a good film.
Oh, I'm sure.
So, uh, let's see. Okay, so what are you doing lately? What's up with you? We spoke a little bit about this before we came on, but what have you been doing like since the pandemic?
Well, the pandemic kind of that took care of live performance, which came to a halt.
Yeah,
Just starting up now.
yeah,
Starting up. So it remains to be seen how. I know Broadway is starting up in September in a few weeks. My son is the drummer in Hadestown, which was won the Tony.
wow,
So he's getting back to work.
nice.
I'm just teaching now, and
You played a gig though this week or
Writing.
something, or?
yeah, I'll play when anybody asks me to, and try to hustle up a performance. I got this idea for a trio. Bass clarinet, bass trombone, and string bass.
Huh.
And so we'll see.
Interesting.
It's only in my head.
Sounds
We haven't even rehearsed yet,
sounds cool though.
but I've been starting to practice the bass clarinet and seriously. And when I feel my chops are up, which should be in a couple of weeks, we'll start rehearsing.
Ooh, I can't wait to hear that. That sounds really good.
But I think it's going to be good. Yeah, I think it's going to be good.
Really interesting.
There's a couple of clubs in New York. Spike Wilner's has this beautiful club, Mesro.
Yeah,
I'm hoping that we can play there.
yeah.
And, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Cool.
I know we can rehearse, and actually, I probably want to record it.
Yeah, definitely.
The bass clarinet is a very neglected instrument.
Yeah.
There's only been one person that really made us aware of it, Eric Dolphy.
Okay. Benny Maupin's really good at it too.
And Benny Maupin, yeah. Eric Dolphy was fabulous.
Yeah.
There's some great YouTube with him. Fabulous YouTube performances.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
I did a recording of a chamber orchestra, a jazz chamber orchestra, and I took a song of Benny's called "Message to Prez." It's kind of a short head, and I have a 7-piece vocal improv group called Fish to Birds. So it was perfect for Fish to Birds because it was kind of groovy, and a short head, with real definitive lines. And so we did our Fish to Birds thing with it. And then a friend of mine who's really his head is like in classical and jazz. He came up musically in Boston. And anyway, so he took it and made a 3-movement piece out of it. And then we had Benny come in and play. It's really cool. I'll have to send that to you. It's just so yummy. Bass clarinet is what a vibration, that bass clarinet has. It's so amazing.
Well, it has these different registers. The low register is so rich. And that's what's most of us think of with the bass clarinet. And that's primarily the way it's used in the symphony orchestra. But it also has this mellow sound in the middle.
Yeah.
And flute-like upper register, which you never hear.
Yeah.
And so many possibilities with that instrument.
Yeah. Doesn't Marcus, what's his
I think
name,
in that-
play it too? The bass player, Marcus Miller, is it?
Marcus Miller plays bass clarinet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Great musician. Marvelous arranger, and all the stuff he did for Miles. Isn't that great?
Yeah.
Tutu.
Yeah. Oh my God.
That blew me away.
Yeah. Fantastic. Let's want to listen again to maybe your CD, a little bit more of your CD. I have your CD at home, of course, here, but I didn't prepare myself, so I guess I can just listen online. So there's Big Apple Circus. Did we hear that? We didn't hear that.
Yeah, we heard that.
Oh, okay. Let's go to. Whoops. That is not you.
Hi, everybody.
That's we hear. Okay. So there is Do Nothing Till You Hear From Me, Cupbearers.
Yeah, I play clarinet on that.
Oh, good. Let's check that one out. Cool. That was a fun chart.
No, thanks.
And you played great. Your clarinet playing.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yep. I wanted to show you something. A friend of mine found this online.
Oh, great. An old downbeat.
Yeah, with Thad Jones and Sheila Jordan and Bill
Bill
Crow.
Crow. All right.
Yeah, it's in perfect shape. Perfect shape. It's from May 9th, 1963.
All right.
Talks about the lofts and stuff. Were you there for that?
Yeah, that was a great thing. 63, yeah. 28th Street and 6th Avenue was this building. A drummer, Gary Hawkins, had this loft. I think it was also a building where Hall Overton had a loft. A pianist, composer, Hall Overton.
Uh-huh.
Gary's loft, any night of the week, you could just fall in and somebody'd be there. And guys were playing all night. I met Joe Farrell there. I met Mike Malvoine there. I remember him talking about how he was going to move to California. And we know what happened there. He moved to California and had a great career.
Yeah, he certainly did.
And
I interviewed him, by the way, a few weeks ago.
he's still around, right?
Yeah, and he's married to Holly Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Quite a career. Quite a beautiful player.
Yeah, the loft scene was that was a great, a nice experience to have.
Yeah. Yeah, that must have been really so cool. I did a little bit of that here in the old days because I moved here when I was 21. So there were all night sessions here, but on the other side of town. And you know, you had to either be young or brave to go there. And so I was both. And yeah, we had a great time. Jimmy Smith had a club, little tiny club.
The organ player?
Yeah, he had a little tiny club and
God.
go sit in there. Of course, there was Dante's, which I was a waitress at for a year and a half. And that's really how I got my entry into the jazz scene here.
I remember that club.
Yeah. Yeah, that was cool. Yeah, what about Thad Jones? Did you ever play in that band at all?
Yeah, I subbed.
Uh-huh.
I subbed several times. Thanks to Jerry Dodgen. And of course, that was monumental, that band with Joe Farrell and Jimmy Knepper. I bought the records. My friend Tom McIntosh was in the original lineup. He has a a composition of his is on that first record on Solid State. Great memories.
Yeah. Yeah, that band, I remember seeing it when I was in college, and Dee Dee Bridgewater was in it. And I was overcome by that band and by her singing, and I was just blown away. It was so fantastic.
Thad's solos and the way he conducted, nothing like it.
So classy, right?
Amazing musician.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Mel Lewis was back there and
Yeah.
didn't hurt anything.
It didn't hurt anything. So I have my friend brought up your credits, and I just thought it would be fun to show you if you haven't looked at it lately.
No, I haven't.
So let's see. So here's your credits. Here's
I don't know if I can see this.
I'll read it to you a little bit. In the Christmas Mood. This was in 2012, starting in 2012 and back. Glenn Miller, you played on that, and Liza's at the Place, played on that.
Oh, I see. At the Palace.
Oh, the Palace, sorry.
Liza at the Palace.
Yeah. Then Mosaic with Johnny Richards.
Oh, that was a very important relationship. Johnny Richards. I didn't mention that before.
Who is Johnny Richards?
Johnny Richards was this amazing composer, arranger who wrote for movies. He worked with Victor Young.
Oh, okay.
He wrote the music for Stan Kenton's Cuban Fire album.
Oh,
That's an amazing record.
yeah.
And then he moved to New York and had a big band, a 20-piece band. He liked French horns and timpani, and it was. I heard that band with Gene Quill on alto, great alto player. At Birdland, that was one of my favorite listening experiences.
Huh.
Johnny Richards' big band, and they always had two groups. So they'd have Johnny Richards' big band and Bud Powell Trio.
Okay, wow.
So when they had the Johnny Richards big band, they took the piano off the stage and moved it to the they took
floor.
the tables out,
Yeah,
and the piano was right in the front,
yeah.
and it was right next to we called it the peanut gallery. When you pay your entrance fee,
Uh-huh.
and you could go to the right and sit at the tables, the fancy tables with the tablecloths, or you could go to the left and into the bar area. And they had chairs in this bar area where you could just sit there and go up and get a beer at the bar and then take it back to your seat. So I would get there early and sit right next to the piano. And I did this maybe 3 times and sat right next to Bud. That was an amazing experience.
Yeah, that was worth its weight in gold, man.
Yeah, I'll never forget it. Well, I had heard Bird 3 times there at Birdland. So,
Oh, yeah.
uh,
Okay, so Johnny Richards, interesting.
so Johnny Richards had this end of his career. He came to New York and had this big band,
Hmm.
and so So I'm on the one he did a.
This one says Mosaic Select, but this was in 2005. Was that when you were talking about?
Yeah, well, that's the Mosaic came out in 2005, but we were performing. That had to be 60s.
Uh-huh.
Because I was also, that's when that gig I had with Peggy Lee, I was also playing with Johnny Richards' big band.
Oh, I see.
So that's 60s,
Uh-huh.
Johnny Richards.
Yeah,
But I didn't appreciate him at the time.
yeah.
I mean, if I when I look back, I would have asked him so many questions about working in Hollywood. He was a marvelous orchestrator. And working with Victor Young. Victor Young is one of my favorite composers.
Yeah, I spoke with a guy from Poland who did a whole Victor Young thing, because I think, if I remember right, Victor Young was Polish, and or I
Yeah.
can't remember was that. Yeah, that was a really interesting.
He grew up in Chicago, but his folks sent him to Poland to study. He was a concert violinist.
Okay.
Victor Young was a concert violinist, but he came back and worked in the movie theaters in Chicago as a concertmaster.
Mm-hmm.
That's when he started writing.
Okay.
Acts would come in. I did a lot of research on Victor Young, and he wrote 350 movie scores. And those are all those songs with
Wow.
themes. Stella by Starlight, that's from a movie, Uninvited, 1941.
Wow.
He wrote My Foolish Heart. That's from a movie, My Foolish Heart. He wrote a few songs that were hits while he was in Chicago before he went to California. Sweet Sue. Do you know that song?
I just know I've heard the name, but I don't know it.
Bump, bump, baby. Bump, bump, baby. Oh, I can't. I'm not sure. I can't remember it.
Yeah.
Sweet Sue was a big hit. Big Spider Big
Oh,
played it with Paul Weinman.
okay.
And then he wrote, before he went to California, I can't think of the name of it.
I can look it up really quick. Victor Young. Yeah.
Oh, you froze.
Oh,
There we go.
I'm still here though. I'm looking up, I'm looking up Victor Young.
Ghost of a Chance. Ghost of a Chance.
Oh, which is one of the greatest songs ever.
Yeah. Well, his song, he wrote these marvelous songs. Stella by Starlight. How many records are there of Stella by Starlight in the jazz idiom? Hundreds.
Oh, my Google is not being very cooperative.
That's okay. We can talk about Victor Young as forever. I mean, he was a workaholic. He I think he worked constantly.
Yeah. Victor Young. Okay, so here he is. References, radio, records, radio.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah. Street of Dreams.
Street of Dreams.
When I Fall in Love,
When I Fall in Love.
Blue
That's a movie.
Star,
That was a theme for a movie.
Moonlight Serenade. Really?
I don't
Wow.
think so.
It says, well, maybe it was one called Moonlight Serenade. The Star, Sweet Sue, Just You.
Yeah.
Can't We Talk It Over? Love Letters.
Love Letters.
Around the World.
Around the World.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, those songs are some amazing songs, right?
Yeah.
I wonder, did he write, Sam Lewis was the lyricist. Probably a lot. Sam Lewis. Oh, well, Ned
Street of
Washington.
Dreams.
Yeah. Ned Washington wrote the lyrics of I Don't Stand.
Street of Dreams. When you sing Street of Dreams, you should sing the verse.
Oh. Didn't it?
Because that explains the song.
Yeah.
It's about drugs.
Really?
Yeah, you check out the verse.
I will. I'm writing that down.
Yeah, you shouldn't sing it without the verse. Starts in C minor. It's beautiful. But you got to get there at midnight. You'll see. It's amazing words too.
Wow.
Great lyric.
I'm looking in my special verse book. No, I don't have it. Okay. I'll have to find that.
I'll send it to you.
Okay. Cool.
I have it.
Yeah. Now, also, I have this sounds interesting. New York Saxophone Quartet, Urbanology.
Oh, yeah, I played.
You arranged?
I arranged a Victor Young medley.
Oh, speaking of Victor Young.
Yeah. And but I played with that group for a few years. Danny Bank on baritone, Ray Beckenstein alto, and soprano, and Al Regney was on alto. That was a long-standing group.
Yeah.
Ray was sort of the leader of it.
Yeah, and you did several Liza Minnelli records, of course, because you've had a long relationship with her.
Yeah. Liza at the Palace. Liza at Carnegie Hall.
Carnegie Hall, yeah.
Record.
Yeah. And Leonard Bernstein, it says you played with New York, Leonard Bernstein's New York.
No kidding. I don't remember that.
It says you played tenor. Well, it says Leonard and Dawn, what is it? Leonard and Dawn Upshaw.
Dawn Upshaw.
Yeah.
She was a fine soprano, I think.
It mentions Chip Jackson and Freddie Cole.
Yeah. Well, that was Tom McIntosh's CD, right? Freddie Cole CD.
It says Always. Actually, there was two, Always and To the Ends of the Earth.
Freddie Cole?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Tom did the writing on that.
Also, you have Mike Clark.
Well,
Roger.
I produced a CD for him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, there was a period there I produced several CDs for Chip Jackson, Roger Rosenberg, and Mike Clark.
Yeah. Yeah. Was
That's
producing,
on my own label.
sorry, on their own label?
That's my own label.
Oh,
yeah.
your own label. Do you find,
I could send you that Mike Clark CD
oh, cool.
and Chip Jackson CD. I'll send you those.
Cool. Did you find that producing just went along with your other abilities? Did you like producing? Do you like producing?
Not as much as writing.
Yeah,
I like writing best
yeah,
and playing.
yeah.
I think that's why I never pushed myself to make these CDs, and Ben took it on
Yeah.
and produced the big band, thankfully.
Yeah. That was a smart move, Ben, if you're listening. What did you feel like what do you feel like you were known for in let's say well, there's two areas for me that listening to what you're talking about, you're playing and you're arranging. And what do you feel like you were known for in those areas? Like,
Well, some guys don't even know that I played the clarinet.
oh,
I think I kept it under wraps for thinking, I don't know what my thinking was. I wanted to be known as a tenor sax player. So I kept it quiet that I played clarinet. But I mean, clarinet was kind of my second nature.
Yeah.
I mean, I played it so long,
Yeah.
9 years old.
Yeah. Long time, man. It's such a great, unique sound when it's played well, you know. It's just, I guess that's the key.
It's a great instrument.
Uh,
Guys that started on sax don't. Frank West hated the clarinet.
really?
Hated it. But he was a great flute player, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the only reason why you would hate it is really because you had been around too many bad players, right?
No, you hate it because it's so difficult to really play good
Yeah.
if you didn't start on it.
Yeah.
You can ask around, you know, some guys that started on clarinet,
Yeah.
they like it.
Yeah.
Guys that didn't start on clarinet, they don't. They
Well,
don't.
it's a very, I'm imagining from a vocal technique point of view, or just from what I know about woodwinds, that you can't, I mean, like tenor, your embouchure has to be bigger and looser, but not too loose. And then so that means there's a fatter column of air and sound. And the clarinet is must be a narrow.
Yeah, more focused.
Yeah. And that takes some real, it's really a different way. I remember Sam Most, he kind of had a bad sound on tenor. It was a lot of wasted air. His flute playing, of course, was like divine. It was so, the tone was really, there.
Great flute player, yeah.
But his tenor playing was just, sorry, Sam. But, it was just wasted air, a lot of wasted air.
I never heard him play tenor.
Yeah. I mean, of course, his ideas were fabulous, but the sound,
But he was known for flute, right?
that he was like the father of jazz flute, besides Herbie Mann, that's what I always thought. It was Sam Most,
So when did he die?
Yeah. He died, let's see. I want to say about 6 years ago, something like that. His brother had died before him, Abe. And
Abe was a clarinetist.
yeah. Yeah. Sam was great. He was a really fun hang, and
Yeah, I remember that about him.
yeah, and a wonderful player. And I still have his book of practice, scales and stuff, which it was, really a fun book to play through. I play a little flute actually.
All right.
Yeah. So, yeah, but what I was asking about how you were you known for a particular quality in your writing or your playing?
I don't know.
It's a weird question because it's about you, and mostly other people would talk about you like, oh yeah, he has a blah 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 blah.
The writing, I'm probably most known for the writing that Buddy Rich record
Ah, okay,
with Bouncing with Bud.
yeah. Oh, my friend Dan came up with the lyrics for Street of Dream. Is it verse? Let's see. Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah, read that verse.
yeah.
It explains the whole thing.
Midnight, you heavy laden, it's midnight. Come on and trade in your old dreams for new, your new dreams for old. I know where they're bought, I know where they're sold. Midnight, you've got to get there at midnight, and you'll be met there by others like you, brothers as blue, smiling on the street of dreams.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Interesting. And I think it plays, let's see if it does it play. Well, you can go into
I'll send you the sheet. I'll send you the sheet with the music.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. He's gathering it for me right now.
What I'm going to do is see if I can play it.
Oh.
All right, that's all I can get.
Okay. I get the essence of it though.
Midnight, you gotta get there at midnight. Da, 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 da. And then it goes to midnight.
Beautiful song. I really love that song.
Yeah, Victor Young, the melodies fell out of his sleeves, they used to say.
What did you say?
The melodies just fell out of his sleeve.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he wrote some unbelievably beautiful songs. Yeah. My Foolish Heart, right?
My Foolish
Oh
Heart.
my God. Da, 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 da. Really beautiful.
Anyway,
Yeah, great songs. Those, just that handful of songs is like, you know, some of the most beautiful and sung songs in the Great American Songbook.
yeah. Stella by Starlight.
Yeah. Stella, I mean, that is a genius song.
Yeah,
And-
there's that song just keeps going and going.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, that's a genius song.
Yeah, I wanted to do a documentary about him.
Oh,
I did a lot of research.
I should hook you up with this Kuba Stanetsky. What is Kuba's last name? So Sinesky. I'll hook you up because you'd be interested in what he did. Yeah. So I'll do that.
He did a documentary.
He did.
Oh, he's the one that compiled Victor Young's.
Yeah, he either did like a whole show of Victor's stuff, or I can't quite remember what he did, but it was something very involved. And Kuba's a wonderful musician. If you should hook up with him anyway, but I think that would give you guys some really wonderful stuff to communicate about, you know.
Is he in LA?
No, he's in Poland.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, and he knows that history of Victor Young playing the violin over there.
Yep. Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm going to take a gander at his.
Let me write his name down.
Well, let me remember what it is. It's Kuba.
Cuba.
Kuba.
Kuba.
Now let me find, because it's let's see. Sorry, Kuba. I don't say his name enough, so I forget. But let me check my list here. This is why I keep good lists, ladies and gentlemen. Kuba Stankiewicz, Stankiewicz. And yeah, and he plays piano, and he has a site, right? I'm sure he has a site, Kuba, and well, maybe he doesn't have a site. Well, he English. I want to go to English. Let's see. He studied at Berkeley. He was born in 63, so he's 58. He's worked with a lot of really cool people. And where does it say anything? Well,
Is he associated with jazz in any way?
yes, very much so. He collaborated with Art Farmer, Scott Hamilton, Harvey Schwartz, Sheila Jordan.
Oh.
Yeah.
And does he, is he a writer too?
Yes, he is. I'll send you a little something that I found on him, but but I thought he had a site himself, and gosh, I remember looking at this. Let me see if I put his name in, and then I put Victor Young. Let's see, Victor Young. The music of Victor Young. He made a record. Okay, so he made a record. Well, there's a music. It's the music of Victor Young, and but he yeah, on like Amazon. He Love Letters, Summer Love, Everything I Do, Preludium, Stella by Starlight, Johnny Guitar, Beautiful Love, Alone at Last, It's Christmas Time Again. But yeah, I mean, there's some good information about this, but I just can't. I haven't brought it up here. I think.
Is that a piano trio record?
Here we go. Is it a what record?
Piano trio?
I'm going to look.
If you have instruments.
Let me see. Hold on. Okay, so what it says is it's a trio. It's with Peter Erskine. And do you know Derek Oles on bass?
Heard of him, yeah.
Yeah. So it was an album that he made. Well, I'll let you read it, but it's really, I sent this page to you. So it's a kind of a review of the album. And talks about the biography of Victor, and which is quite informative, you know, quite goes on quite a lot. And Kuba's a beautiful player, really beautiful. So anyway, that you should.
Oh, I'd like to hear it.
Yeah, you should enjoy that. We're coming to the end, believe it or not. It's been 2 hours.
It sure has.
Just doesn't seem like it, does it? It's like, it just seems like a hang, and then you say 2 hours, and that sounds long. Thank you so much for sharing your time.
I sure enjoyed it, Cathy.
Me too.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's been a long time coming, a long conversation with you and I, you know.
Well, we'll keep in touch, and looking forward to some more events.
Yeah, and one of these days I'm going to come out to New York just to hang out. You know, I just want to hang out. Maybe I'll sing, but just to hang out, because Jake Clayton is a real dear friend of mine, and Sheila. And yeah, I just want to come out. I just want to hang out a little bit, you know. Just, I mean, it's not the old New York, but it's, I don't have to be anywhere, you know. Like last time I was in New York was the Jazz Congress, and that was really fun, but you really wanted to be around. You wanted to go see the people talk, and you wanted to schmooze with people, because it was like, you know, this convention of people right in the middle of Manhattan. So, but yeah, but I just want to come and hang out a little, and, you know, just goof off, you know.
I'll do it. I want to come to LA too.
Yeah, well, things are definitely happening here again, you know. So hopefully it'll continue on that line, you know.
I'd like to do a big band out there.
Yeah, you said that.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, okay. If you want, you can just hit the end button, and I'm going to tell the people who's coming, you know, just talk a little bit about who's happening and what, you know, what's happening in the next week on this show, unless you want to hear.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Thanks, Frank.
All right.
Frank Perowsky, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. I'm saying goodbye now. Bye.
Bye. Cool. Old school. Tomorrow is one of incredibly prolific music family, the Petersons, out of Minnesota, Minneapolis. And the singer, who's probably around my age, Patty Peterson, she's been mostly an R&B singer, but everybody in the family is related to jazz too. And she's also a DJ personality, and she's a speaker, a public speaker on like self-improvement. So that should be a really fun conversation, really interesting. Wednesday, a world-renowned percussionist who's been on records that you've heard many times. His name is Luis Conte, and he's a really cool guy. I've known Luis probably since 1979. And he's a really cool guy, great player, still working around town. So these are all the live Monday through Wednesday. Then Thursday through Sunday, I post, and you can see everything at noon or before. I usually post before, but Clayton Cameron, the drummer, is Thursday. Friday is a jazz DJ or a DJ, Abe Pearlstein. He's on the West Coast here. Saturday, great singer, really active in New York, Rosanna Vitro. And she's done some amazing recordings and gigs in her life. And Sunday, the great pianist and singer Dina DeRose, who lives in Vienna, I think. Let's see. If you're in town, if you're in LA, you want to hear some really cool jazz at Feinstein's, or Vitello's, as it's also known. Friday is Mark Winkler and Dolores Scorsese, two singers who have actually produced each other's records. And it's a great band, great arrangements and stuff. And then next week, the live people, Brian Schwartz, who's a wonderful trumpet player here. He's created gigs for himself, and he's written, and he plays great. And then Tuesday, an excellent flutist, Michael Mason. I'm looking forward to meeting him and speaking with him. He's really good. And Wednesday, an old friend of mine, I hope he's gonna be fine to be on. He's a singer, and he is a curator of a long-running home venue jazz series, jazz series in Seattle, Nick Anderson. And I've gone and sang for him, and what can I say? He's a really cool guy, and that's Wednesday. So if you want to see who else is going to be on the show, just go on my website. I keep it pretty updated. And what else can I tell you? Just have a great time. Let's keep a positive outlook. Listen to a lot of great music, changes your DNA, I'm convinced of it. And just keep smiling, okay? See you soon. See you tomorrow.